was targeted for assassination. Our soldiers killed some guy, and they found a poster on him, and it was a wanted poster for me. And the only reason I found out, in the district, the baddest soldier in the district, he was behind me all the time. Every time I looked around, there's Kuda right there. And I said, Kuda, how come you're always with me? And he's the district chief told me. That's why I said, Puta, how come you... And then he told me that I had been targeted to be assassinated. And we had a couple of attempts on both of us. I'm not serious. I mean, well, they were serious. They thought they were serious, but they didn't come very close. The closest I came to getting killed is I went out with an American unit. It was a patrol led by a lieutenant. I was a major, but the lieutenant was commanding the patrol. I wasn't. Well, we got right in the middle of a rice paddy, and World War II broke up. And every time the rice paddy was really mucky, and every time you took a step, you went down about that far. Well, when we started getting shot at, we started running, and the rounds were hitting. You could see the rounds hitting in the water, so I knew how close they were. And then I jumped down behind the rice paddy dike, and I stuck my head up to hear what was going on, and all of a sudden it was pop, 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 and I got my head down again, and the popping was the bullets going by me. They kind of zing if they're far away. If they're really close, they pop like that. They were popping, like 5 or 6 rounds popped right near me. And I said, oh, God. So I kept my head down after that. I went back to Vietnam in 1995 to see it again. The last day I was in the district, I went to the district town and went to the museum, and I saw the name of a hero of the VC who lived in a village that we fought over called My Han Trung. So I went up to the Ville and went to that village, My Han Trung, and went to the People's Committee. A bunch of people came around, I said, I'd really like to meet this guy who was a hero of the Viet Cong, to talk to him. And they said, well, I'm sorry, you can't meet him because he's in the hospital. He's sick, he's in Saigon. But they said, there's another old gentleman who was a big Whelan of District Viet Cong. Maybe you'd like to meet him. I said, oh, I'd love to. So they sent somebody out on a motorbike to his house and see if he would be willing to, entertain me or accept me into his house. And he said, yeah. So I went out. We drank coconut milk and stuff, and very polite. And then I started asking him questions about tactics. And one of them was, the Vietnamese hardly ever took booby trap casualties. The Americans took all kinds of booby trap casualties. And so I asked him about that. And he said, well, it was much more effective to kill Americans. And what they did is they would walk in front of an American patrol when it was moving, and they walked in front and put down mines or booby traps. And if the Americans blew them up, great. If they didn't, they'd go back and pick up the booby traps and do it again. So I asked them a whole series of tactical questions like that, and it was very enlightening, and most of my hypothesis about what they were doing was true. So the last question I asked him, I says, what was your policy on assassination of Americans? And he said, why do you ask? So I told him that I had been targeted. And he said, I'll be right back. And he went away, and he came back, and he said, who did you advise? And when were you here? And I told him. He said, aha. He said, I was in charge of all the spies and assassins in Kailai District during that time, and I'm the one who targeted you to be assassinated. So that was, whoa. So we kind of nervously laughed, and then we hugged each other. It was kind of spontaneously, and then he went and got the rice wine. And we drank rice wine, and he called his wife, and his wife cooked a chicken for us. So we talked and laughed and drank rice wine and ate chicken for the rest of the afternoon. And we both got a pretty good buzz on. And then we went back to the village of My Han Trung, and it was like 7 o'clock, and they had set up this incredible feast for me. And I ate with the family, and it was just charming. And a woman sitting next to me, who had been a Viet Cong, poked me about halfway through the meal and gave me the elbow, and she grabbed my arm, and she said, the Americans killed my husband in 1968. I'm keeping you here now as my husband. I said, oh, great. And so that was really a nice kind of rounding out to my time in Vietnam when I went back in 95.